Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Let's Chat. And we are discussing today with the lovely Nadine Hanchar, what does it take to heal? So, a little bit about Nadine before we get into that segment. Nadine is a counselor, consultant, speaker, and trainer since 1986, and she recently became an international best-selling author. That's quite an accomplishment, my dear. As a personality profiling expert, Nadine is the developer of the PEP personality process and author of Knowing Me, Knowing You, the PEP personality process, which offers incredible insights into ourselves and others and how our processing styles affect our personalities, relationships, and communication with life. She is proficient in a wide range of modalities and disciplines and has taught most of the therapies and techniques she uses. Nadine specializes in working with trauma, abuse, relationship issues, and communication. Her results-oriented approach is designed to resolve the root cause of issues. This allows the person, couple, family, or organization to go forward with a better quality of life. So again, once again, welcome, Nadine. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's been very enlightening, our conversations that we've been having about what does abuse look like. Because I deal with lots of people who have lots of different things when they share their stories in the Sacred Hearts books, but I never really understood a lot of the symptoms that I was having and being correlated with what you're saying on this paper. And it's actually quite astounding to say the least, that how much we ignore those little signs, and we don't want to rock the boat, or we don't want to say the wrong thing. It's quite eye-opening when I look back at my life in the things that you've been saying, and I'm going, oh, red flag, oh, red flag, oh, red flag, oh, red flag. So I'm hoping that having our conversations today and in the future are going to help other men and women realize that, oh, red flag, I need to get out before it's 21 years later. When you have a contract on your life for somebody to kill you. So I'm hoping that these conversations are going to help people make their choices sooner rather than later if they are in those abusive situations. So the topic today is, what does it take to heal? So, my dear, what does therapy look like?
Well, I just want to say something, that not everybody gets a contract to kill them. I know that you brought that up several times. Quite often once a person is out of the relationship, the person does let them go. So just to put that out there, that it doesn't have to go to that extreme.
No, mine was just one of those rare, weird cases that certainly was the problem.
So I just wanted to say that because, I want people to understand that it can be actually safe to leave.
Yeah.
And that there is help out there for them when they do leave. And, that they can get on with their life. And so what does it take to heal? Well, everyone is different. And, I guess the thing that's most important is that you find someone that you resonate with, someone that you click with, to be able to talk to be able to work with. There's many types of therapy out there. I do NLP therapy, I do hypnosis, I do timeline therapy, I do TRT, I do many different types of therapy. And, there's lots of therapists out there that do lots of different things. There's behavioral therapy, there's psychologists, there's spiritual counseling, there's, intuitive counseling, there's energy work, there's acupuncture, there's acupressure, there's body work, there's so many different things out there. And so each individual needs to find their own path to healing. And, I guess the thing that I want to say to you is that if you're on your healing journey and you get to a point where you feel, I think I've gotten all I can get out of this particular thing, then
Yeah.
go find something else.
Yeah.
And, healing is something that can take a, a, a relatively short period of time, or it can take a relatively long period of time. It really depends on the type of abuse that you've suffered. It depends on, the situation. And, quite often things happen in what I call a spiral. So when you're talking about that, in the bottom of the spiral, it takes you a long time to figure out what's going on. It takes you a long time to address it. And it's, that's sort of the bottom of the spiral. And then the next time something happens, it's a little bit quicker. And you figure it out, and it happens a little bit quicker, and then it happens a little bit quicker, and then it happens a little bit quicker, until it's almost instantaneous. And when we're going through something, quite often we'll get it on sort of a macro level.
Yeah.
and then it gets more subtle and more subtle and more subtle as it goes up the spiral. And so, we think, well, gee, I've healed that, I've dealt with that. And what really happens is that it's happening now at a more subtle level. And so you might attract a friend, perhaps, that's doing something that the abuser used to do, but on a much more subtle level. And it takes you a while to figure that out. And then it's like, oh wow, and you get out of that situation, or you end that friendship, or you address it in a different way. And that I think that it's important for you to realize that just because you get it on one level doesn't mean you're getting it on all levels.
True.
Until you do, and
Yeah.
So continue your healing journey until you're feeling like you love yourself, that you're worthy, that you're respecting yourself, that you're doing the things that are truly best for you. Because when you do the things that are truly best for you, they're best for everyone else, even if they don't like it.
No, that is true. Like, I know my own journey, has taken a while, and my first segue into that was REM, rapid eye movement. And I did that to open up the memories and to start dealing with it. And when that was finished, I did some cellular release, and I did spiritual healing. And I just kept, every time something came up that I thought, oh, I need to deal with this, then I looked to find out what I could do to help alleviate that in whatever healing that I had with, hypnosis and REM and spiritual and cellular. And yeah, it can be a short, it can be a long journey. I think, like you say, it depends on what kind of abuse that you've been dealt with, and how long it's gone on.
Well, I'm a real believer in being a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
And, I don't believe that, growth stops ever.
No.
And so, I think that dealing with the immediate things first, is important.
Mhm.
And then as you get away and you start to feel better and you start to move on with your life, and you still need to continue to grow, and you still need to continue to deal with the things that are coming up. And as you said, you intuitively sort of were drawn to certain things to do as they came available. And, I really encourage people to trust that intuition. Your intuition is often screaming at you to do something. And, people talk themselves out of it, or they don't believe it, or they've gotten to a place where they distrust their own intuition. And you need to build that back into your life, because your intuition is a really, it's that internal voice that is telling you, you need to do this is going on, you need to address it. And it's the same thing when you go to therapies. It's like there are certain therapies that you'll be attracted to, and certain therapies that you won't be attracted to. So it's like I say, it's a very personalized journey. and it is a journey. And, I encourage you, once you're out of the thick of it, because the thick of it is often more difficult. And I'm going to, it's that difficult transition from being in an abusive relation to getting out of it. But once you're out of it and you're starting to get momentum, I encourage you to keep going and to do what you need to do to, get yourself back, because
Yeah.
quite often you've lost yourself in the relationship, and sometimes you don't even know what you like, you
No,
know.
no, that's true. I know that with my therapy, when I stepped out of everything and started to look at it, there was there was a mind shift. And for me, that was paramount in shifting how I thought about myself and how I thought about things and that sort of stuff. And then later on, as my mind shifted, then my body started to shift, because now all of the stresses were taken off and things. So you have to give yourself time to let your mind shift and your body shift. And as those shift, then you go to whatever different type of modality of therapy that you require, whether it's acupuncture or massage or any other spiritual guidance or cellular release. So it is a process. It is a process. And for me, because it was so long, that the trauma had gone on, and at such a young age, that it didn't happen overnight, that's for sure.
No, and the other thing is that I often refer to it as the shields that you've built up around you. And as those shields begin to fall away, and you realize that you don't need them anymore,
Mhm.
it's such a different life, and it's such a different way of being in the world. And you start trusting again, and you start trusting yourself again. And
Mhm.
the other thing that I do want to mention, though, is quite often you'll take little quirky things into your next relationship if you get into another relationship. And so let's say that if you bought something for yourself, your husband would get, the one that you left would get, the one that was abusive, would yell and scream at you and, get mad at you for spending the money. And you think that you've healed all of those things, and then you go into a new relationship, and you go out and you buy yourself a new dress, and you come home and you're waiting for that. You're waiting for
Yeah.
the anger. You're waiting for that moment when he blows up at you, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
you know and so you have to realize that that even though you're healing and things are healing, that there are some patterns of behavior that may still be present, and they really only can get healed when you've actually gone into another relationship, because they don't get triggered until you're in those situations.
No, that's true. That's
And
true.
so a lot of times, when a person is on their own, and they've done a lot of work on themselves, and they're everything is wonderful, and then they get into another relationship, and these things start happening, and they're like, well, I was perfectly fine on my own, like, why is this happening now? And and it's happening because you're now in a relationship, and the relationship itself is triggering some of the things that you couldn't heal when you were on your own. And so just to know that that's normal, and just get the help you need at that time.
That'll be a good segment that we're going to have to do, is relationship after abuse. We'll have to have some conversations about that, because I think that is one of the key things that a lot of people suffer from, is when they go from one relationship into another relationship, that they're bringing that baggage forward. So again, everybody, if you have any comments or questions that you would like Nadine to answer, please put it in the comment section. And note that this is for knowledge only. This is not to replace any counseling or therapy that you are presently taking. It is knowledge only, information that we should know that we don't know because we don't know who to ask or how to get that information. So again, thank you, Nadine, for your insight on everything and on healing. It has been very enlightening, and I look forward to our next segments together.
Thank you, Brenda, for having me.
You are welcome. Bye, everybody.